Welcome to our third module, where we shall be looking at the basics of Excel. We have the guiding questions that we have right here in the guide that we shared in class. So we have the requirements down here. So starting with the very first question, we are supposed to compute the total cost of each item and format the values to UGX. So let's get started with that. Okay. So you'll be able to type this information as indicated here on the guide that you have. You type this content, then you shall be able to attempt this particular question. So you'll pause the video a bit, type this content, then you replay it and you continue with this. Okay, so how do you do that? You will come to your table that you'll have typed right here, then on the adjacent cell you type there total cost. Okay, so to adjust the column width, just point at this border and double click. It will auto fit. So what do we want to do? We want to compute quantity times the unit cost. So you put the equal sign. So in Excel, for every calculation that you perform, you either start by putting equal sign or you put the plus. But let's use the common one, which is the equal sign. Then you click on quantity times. So the multiplication symbol is that asterisk or a star. Normally you will find it on the button which has figure 8. It is a star. You press the shift button, then you click on that particular button with figure 8 and a star. You call it asterisk. So times the unit cost. So normally in Excel, most of the computations are performed on the first row, just like we have done. Then later on you copy the formula down. So we press the enter key, then you click right there and you point at this particular square that you see here at the corner of this active cell right there. Then you double click, it will autofill. So based on the instructions that we have here, we are supposed to compute the total cost of each item, then we format the figures to UGX. Okay, so we shall perform that shortly. So I need to adjust this font size also to 14. Okay, then also need to put all borders. Okay, so now we have this particular content here. So we shall highlight the unit cost and the total cost. Want to format them to UGX. So you go to the home menu, then in the section where you have numbers, click on this particular tab here, number format. Okay, so the dialog box will load where you'll be able to perform this formatting. So we have the category here. So for our case we want currency, then we can reduce the decimal places from here to 0. Then we pick the symbol. So we shall click on this drop down, then you search for UGX. So we have UGX right here. So you click on it, then you hit the OK button. So we shall have these figures formatted to Ugandan shillings. So we look at the next part, which is compute the overall total cost and determine the most costly, the cheapest, and the average cost based on the cost of each item. Okay, so we shall have that information here. You merge some cells, go to home, then you click on merge, meaning you are transforming 3 cells into one. So you highlight, go to home menu, then you click on merge. Okay, then you type there analysis. So what is required here? So we shall have item, then the value. So what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to compute the overall total cost. So we put it right here, overall. Then we're also supposed to compute the most costly. Then the cheapest, then average cost. Okay, so cheapest, then average. Okay, so after typing this additional information right here, you can give it a border, all borders. We put the equal sign. What I mean here is that you have to sum. You need to sum this information. So you put the equal sign, then you use the sum function, sum. It will show up like this. All adds all the numbers in the ranges. So you click on sum, then you come and highlight the range. But now, what if you were asked to add values that are not within the same range, like this? That's when you use the commas, just like the syntax is stating, number 1, number 2. That's when you click on this, put a comma, click on that, if they're not within the same range. But for our case, everything is within the same range. Therefore, I'll backspace this, then I highlight. Then you close the bracket, press the enter key. So we have this 15 million. So what is the most costly, meaning the highest here? So we put the equal sign, then we say max, meaning returns the largest value in a set of values. It ignores the logical values and text. So max, we do the same, highlight this range, then press the enter key. Then cheapest or lowest, we put the equal sign, then you type min, meaning minimum. Okay, so you click there, then we do the same, highlight this and press the enter key. Then the average, do the same, put equal sign and type average, then we highlight the range, press the enter key. So now we have our overall cost, meaning the total. Then we have most costly, meaning the highest, the one which costs a lot. Then the cheapest, which is 50,000. Then the average, which is that much, 1.39. So that is part 2. Then part 3, we compute the percentage cost of each item based on the overall cost. Okay, so we need to know the percentage of each of these in this particular overall cost. Okay, so we can say percentage cost. So we put the equal sign, you click on the item, then divide by the overall cost, which is this. So you click on it, press the enter key, then you copy the formula down. So you point right here, then you double click. So this is appearing because we didn't fix. Fixing means we make this 15 a constant such as to divide through by all values. So we shall repeat that process. So you put the equal sign, click on this first value, then you divide by 15. So we need to fix this. We have to make it a constant. How do you do it? You press the F4 key on the keyboard. We have F1 up to F12. So you click on F4. It will indicate with these dollar symbols, meaning that it has been fixed, it has been made a constant. It will be divided all these values will divide with this throughout. So you press the enter key, then you copy the formula down. Okay, so to format this to percentage form, you will keep it highlighted just the way you're seeing. Okay, then you go to home, then you hit this particular icon here in the section of numbers, then your values will appear in percentage form, just the way you're seeing right here. So we'll move to the next part. If the unit cost increases by 20%, we compute the new total cost of each item. Okay, so how shall we do this? Okay, so we say new total cost. So the unit cost increasing by 20%, what will be the new total cost of each item? Okay, so we shall put the equal sign. Okay, then we open the bracket and we say the unit cost, meaning the original one, plus that increment of 20%. So this amount is increasing by 20%, plus 20% of, meaning the multiplication of this same figure. So we click on it, then we close the two brackets. Since we have opened two brackets right here, this and that, we close them, then times the quantity. So when you press the enter key, this will be our new cost. So you double click and you copy the formula across. So I can also format this to the same font size, which is 14. Then I also give it all borders right there. Okay, so this is our new total cost. So we want to apply this format to all these values, meaning UGX. Instead of going through the process we went through last time, what you can do, you click on that particular cell, any of this that has that format of UGX, then you come to home, then you click on the format painter. The format painter will copy that format to the rest of the other figures. So when I click on this brush, I'll come and brush over these figures. Okay, and I release. They will all be formatted to UGX. That's how we copy the formats. So let's look at the next part, which is part 5. Analyze the cost such that the items with the unit costs greater than 5,000 are considered as expensive and those below are considered cheap. Okay, so meaning we shall use the if function. Okay, so we go back, then you say cost analysis. Okay, so we shall use the if function. So you'll put the equal sign. Okay, then you say if in the bracket. Now the if function has 3 parts. There's a logical test, value if true, and value if false. Okay, our condition here, if you read through, is that for those that cost above 5,000, we consider that item as expensive, and those that are below we consider as cheap. Okay, meaning value if false. So if the unit cost is greater than 5,000, what should happen? We should consider that as expensive. That is value if our condition is true. If it is true that the values along this column are greater than 5,000, we should return the comment as expensive. Else, meaning if it is not true, what happens? We return cheap. Close the bracket and then press the enter key. Okay, so we copy the formula down. Okay, so that is what we call the if function. Okay, so we look at the next part. Filter items that cost UGX 900,000 but less than UGX 1 million. Okay, so to do this, we shall copy our content onto the new worksheet. So I will highlight from that particular information everything as is. I copy. You can right click and copy, or you Control C on the keyboard. Then to add another worksheet, where you're seeing worksheet 1 right here at the bottom, there's a tab here with a plus symbol. You click on it, then you paste. Okay, so when you see the hashtags like this, it means the column width is small, so you adjust the column width. How? By pointing at the borders here between the alphabetical identities of the columns. So when I point there and double click, it will auto fit. I do the same here, double click, it will auto fit. Okay, so you just adjust the column width to make sure that the content fits in. Okay, so we want to filter these items based on the costs, total cost. So we shall consider this particular column. So you highlight the column. Okay, then you go to the home menu. Then in this section where we have sort and filter, you click on the drop down. Then you click on filter. Now when you click on filter, you'll see some icon here with the drop down appearing. So you click on that drop down. After clicking on the drop down, you have number filters somewhere here. So you point at number filters, then you click on custom filter. So this dialog box will appear. So let's check on the condition. It should be items that cost 900,000 and above, but less than 1 million. Okay, so click on the drop down, say greater than, pick the option greater than 900,000. Let's say greater than 800,000. But less than 1 million. So we type 1 million there, hit the OK button. It will filter for you this particular value, that is between 800 and 900. Okay, so I change this figure to 800. So we only have one item that meets that condition. So in situations where you have hundreds and hundreds of records, this function will help you to filter something that you want and you print it specifically. Okay, so let's look at the next part. We are supposed to insert chart which contains item and total cost per item. Okay, so we go back to our original data set right here. Okay, so we have the items here. So highlight. Okay, you select starting from the column heading right here. Then you hold the Control key on the keyboard. Okay, then you come and highlight on this particular column which is having the total cost. So we are able to highlight these particular columns that are not adjacent by pressing the Control key, CTRL on the keyboard. Then you go to the insert menu, then you have the chart section right here. We shall pick the very first one and we shall pick the 3D right here. Okay, so to rename this particular chart that we have obtained right here, you click on it on the chart, then you go to design, then under design you'll see quick layout right here. So you click on the drop down and you pick the option which has provision for title, provision for labeling the y-axis, provision for labeling the x-axis. So you click on it, then you can rename it. So here, to rename this, you double click and backspace or delete, then you type there item, then you do the same here, click on it, double click, backspace and delete. So here we have the total cost. So that is how you label the charts in case you have to do so. Then still under design, we can change the color of our chart. Okay, we can change the color of the chart. So you click on the chart, then you go to design, then you are able to pick a different color for your chart. For example, you can also change the design, as you can see. You can click on that or any of these. So that is how we deal with charts. Okay, so we are supposed to insert the chart and call it that. Then finally, part 8, we are supposed to compute the subtotals for each category. Now normally when they ask you to compute subtotals for a given item, you have to look out for a column which has common values. For example, if you look at this column for nutrients, it's the one which has common or repeating values. We have fats here, we have fats there. We have proteins, we have proteins. So this could not be items. Next time they could be departments, they could be organizations. So you look for that column which has identical values. So for our case, we shall use the nutrients for grouping these items such that they're ready for computing subtotals. So you'll highlight a table. So step 1 is to sort these items according to these columns. The column for nutrients such that we bring items that are identical together. So you go to home, then you click on the drop down right here, then custom sort. Now in case they ask you to sort by more than one column, for example they tell you sort by item and nutrients, you simply come and add a level. But for our case we don't need any level now, so I'll delete it. Okay, so we are sorting by the column which has common values, which is the column for nutrients. So you click on the drop down, then you pick nutrients. This is ascending order, A to Z. If they told you descending, it is Z to A. So you click the OK button. As you can see, if you spelt everything very well, the like items will be put together, what you call the like terms or something like that. Okay, so you keep your work selected, then you go to the menu item data, then on the extreme right you will see subtotals right here. So you click on subtotals. This dialog box will appear when you read from the beginning at each change in. So when you look at what you have grouped here, the machine will check carbohydrates. When it finds fats here, it will append the totals. Okay, so we want to compute the subtotals at each change in nutrient. So you click on the drop down and pick nutrient because it's the one which has common values. Then which function do you want to use? You want to use the sum function because you are supposed to compute the totals. If they ask you to compute any other thing like count, average, you pick it from the drop down here. So we want to compute the subtotals against, let's check from the guide here, compute subtotals for each category, so not specified. So for this case, we shall pick new cost, we shall pick the total cost, original one, and the new total cost. Then you hit the OK button. You'll be able to have those subtotals in place. So we have the subtotals here, as you can see. You can bold them. We have the subtotal here for facts, and so forth and so forth. Okay, and the grand total somewhere down here. Okay, so this is how we compute the subtotals. So in case you want to condense this particular data further, you can use these guiding tabs on the left here. You can drop them, you can condense them until you have something that is further summarized for each item. Okay, you can as well expand by clicking on the plus symbols here. So this is introduction to Excel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.